Hello, welcome to the Berean Catholic. Today I want to examine the question of which religion, Judaism, Christianity, or Islam, has the fullness of truth. Now I know, many are thinking that the real question should be which religion is true. However, that question relies on a premise of either or. Either something is true or it is false. Instead, I would suggest that we look at the question of both and. Now, I'm not saying that the religion is both true and false. That would be a question for another time. Instead, I want to look at the question of Judaism and Christianity both being true, and Christianity and Islam being true. If we start with that as a premise, we can then compare the truths found in these religions and decide which one has more truth. This is possible because Judaism, Christianity, and Islam are monotheistic religions based on the faith of the one God of Abraham. Because of that common basis, we can look at these religions and their main texts. Judaism has the Torah, Christianity has the Gospel, and Islam has the Quran. So when we are comparing these religions, we can look to see if there is a common creed or command and compare how they relate to each other. Since Judaism comes first, we can look at the Torah and see what we have there. In the Torah, we have Deuteronomy 6 verses 4 to 7, which reads, "Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your strength. Take to heart these words which I enjoin on you today. Teach them diligently to your children. Think of them at home or abroad, whether you are busy or at rest." Here, we clearly see that this is a central creed and a command, and it's very important, so much so that no matter where you are or what you're doing, you're commanded to think about this. We can now look at Christianity to see if it has anything similar or how it compares to what we have in the Torah. For that, we will go to the Gospel of Mark, chapter 12, verses 28 to 34, where we read, "The most important command is, Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. And you shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, and with all your soul, and with all your mind, and with all your strength. The second is this, you shall love your neighbor as yourself." Here we see that Christianity adds the command of love your neighbor as yourself. Now, to be fair, in Judaism and the Torah, we do actually have that command of loving your neighbor as yourself. It's found in Leviticus chapter 19, verse 18. So Judaism is very close to Christianity. It just has the command in a different spot. If we were to use a picture to portray the relationship between Christianity and Judaism, it would be like two apple trees, one which is fully loaded with apples and the other with a few less. Let's now take a look at Islam and the Quran. When we look at Islam, we do find a creedal statement dealing with the oneness of God. That's found in Surah 112, where it says, "He is Allah, the Eternal, Absolute. He begets not, nor is he begotten, and there is none like him." However, this surah doesn't say anything about loving God or even loving your neighbor. It's just all about the oneness of God. So that's good, but it's lacking. In fact, we don't have any commandment to love God with our heart, soul, mind, or strength. The closest we can find is found in Surah 2, verse 165, where it says, "And those who believe are more intense in love for God." Now, this isn't a command. It's more of a description of the intensity of one's love for God, while the command in the Torah and the Gospel deals with the totality of our love for God. But this surah doesn't say anything about love of neighbor. In fact, the closest we can find for that would be in Surah 2, verse 215, which reads, "They ask you, what should they spend in charity? Say, Whatever you spend that is good is for parent and kindred and orphans, those in want, and for the wayfarers. And whatever you do that is good, Allah knows it well. Here we have stressed the importance of doing good to others, but nothing about our disposition to them. You can do good while despising them, but you're doing good and you'll be rewarded for doing good. But Jesus commands us to love our neighbor as ourselves, and that command is also shared in the Torah. If we revisit the picture of the trees, we would have to show Islam as an apple tree with very few apples. It has some good in it, but it's more show than fruit. Islam is really lacking. While there is some fruit there, it's lacking in real substance. Now, I will have to admit that my knowledge of the Quran is from reading it over 10 years ago. So I do invite any Muslims who know of better passages that would show Islam as having more good and having more truth than what we have in the Torah and the Gospels. I welcome their input. Until then, God bless.